Tell us who sent her there, since you don't agree she should be there.
I said I do not agree she should receive special treatment. She was transferred, I learned after the fact, to the same level facility, and that is a question for the Bureau of Prisons. I was not involved in that at all. The same level facility, I don't know why, but you know, instead of talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, who hopefully will die in prison, you should be talking about Irina Zarutska.
A convicted accomplice sits behind bars, yet somehow ends up in a prison nicknamed Club Fed. For many, that story doesn't just raise eyebrows, it raises serious questions about justice. Stay with us, because what unfolded in Congress next was tense, revealing, and could change how you see the entire system.
The unanimous consent?
Yes, please.
All right, the gentlelady is recognized.
Mr. Chair, I have a few unanimous consent requests. I would like to submit into the record this New York Times article titled "Alex Pretty's Friends and Family Denounce Sickening Lies About His Life." I also would like to submit this Daily Mail exclusive interview with Vice President J.D. Vance titled "J.D. Vance Refuses to Apologize to Alex Pretty's Family After Spreading ICE Assassin Claim." One more. My last submission request is a New York Times article titled "FBI Agent Who Tried to Investigate ICE Officer in Shooting Resigns."
Without objection.
Thank you.
The chair now recognizes the gentlelady from North Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney General Bondi, I think you and pretty much everybody else here and throughout the country believes that convicted sex offenders don't deserve special treatment or privileges in prison. And yet, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator, received perk after perk in prison. In July, she had a 2-day interview with your deputy and President Trump's former defense attorney, Todd Blanche. Just days after that, Maxwell was transferred from a federal correctional institution in Florida to a minimum security camp in Texas, which she, as a sex offender, would normally be ineligible for. At this new facility, as the ranking member talked about, and by the way, it's nicknamed Club Fed, we've heard reports that she's been afforded special privileges: puppy time, private workouts, personal mail, secretarial services. Attorney General Bondi, does a convicted sex offender like Ghislaine Maxwell deserve special treatment and privileges in prison? Yes or no?
Let me be crystal clear on this. No. And
Thank you.
let me keep going. No, let me keep going.
Perfect. Well, I
did not know she was being transferred.
I asked you yes or no.
She was not transferred to a lower
Mr. Chairman,
level.
please stop the clock and remind the witness of the rules. One rule she needs to understand here.
And I'm glad that we're agreeing. So when we're agreeing, we can move on to some other things. But I want you to know that every time she does get these perks, and it's been publicly reported, that the folks she's abused, the survivors who are sitting here, they see themselves as being denied justice. They feel re-traumatized. And I'm glad that we agree on that. But she should not be in that prison. And she needs to be moved back to a maximum security prison as soon as possible. But what she has told another committee here is that she won't cooperate with them unless she gets clemency from Donald Trump. It's just crazy to consider that she can be wielding this kind of influence within the administration. But that begs the question: who ordered her to be transferred to the minimum security prison that she was ineligible for? Who signed off on the special privileges? Was it Mr. Blanche? Was it one of your other subordinates? So please, can you tell us who sent her there, since you don't agree she should be there?
I said I do not agree she should receive special treatment. She was transferred, I learned after the fact, to the same level facility, and that is a question for the Bureau of Prisons. I was not involved in that at all. The same level facility, I don't know why, but you know, instead of talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, who hopefully will die in prison, you should be talking about Irina Zarutska.
I have a couple
who
of
died
other
on a subway.
Right, and I absolutely...
You don't talk about that.
I have been talking about it and actually helping with these issues. But we're going to move back to you.
I bet we are.
Yes, of course, because you're here to testify. That's what the whole point of this endeavor is. So of course we're moving back to you. It is all about you. So, as we've heard, she took the fifth in response to every single question in that committee hearing. And her lawyer dangled the offer of clemency. Should Donald Trump pardon or commute her sentence? Should she be released from prison, yes or no? You said you hope she dies there, so I'm hoping the answer is no.
I already answered that question.
Good. I'm very glad. I really like this bipartisan agreement about
Well, when
what
it
should
agrees
happen
with
with
you.
her.
But you
Yes.
don't want to talk about Irina Zarutska. You don't want to talk about
I talk about her
murdered
all
by
the
a
time,
violent crime
but
offender
I am not
in
here
your
to
jurisdiction.
testify before Congress. You are. That is your job today.
You are
That's what you're getting paid
obsessed
for.
with
Time
attack.
belongs-
So
time belongs to the
I
young lady.
want you to know that your own DOJ employee, he's recently been demoted and had some other problems, advises on pardons. Do you think he will be advising Mr. Trump on any kind of clemency or pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell?
I'm not going to speculate, and you couldn't even identify properly. That's why you don't want to talk about Irina Zarutska. You couldn't properly identify her relative.
I absolutely
It's embarrassing.
have been, and her family, by the way, appreciates all of the condolences, all of the help, everything that our law enforcement in North Carolina has been doing to help her family. Her family feels well treated. Thank you, and I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Gentleman from California is recognized.
I'd ask unanimous consent to enter into the record an article by former Attorney General William P. Barr entitled, "Why Pam Bondi Did."
What began as a routine congressional hearing quickly turned into a sharp and emotionally charged exchange as Attorney General Bondi faced direct questioning over one of the most controversial figures tied to the Epstein case, Ghislaine Maxwell. Lawmakers didn't hold back, and neither did the implications behind their questions. At the heart of the issue is a concern many Americans share, whether the justice system treats everyone equally, especially when it comes to high-profile offenders. Maxwell, convicted for her role in enabling Jeffrey Epstein's abuse network, was reportedly transferred from a federal prison in Florida to a minimum security facility in Texas. That move alone raised alarms, but what followed added fuel to the fire. According to lawmakers, Maxwell has allegedly received privileges uncommon for someone with her conviction, including increased access to personal activities and services. While some of these reports remain unverified, the perception they create is powerful, and perception in justice often matters just as much as reality. If the public begins to believe that wealth, connections, or influence can soften punishment, trust in the system begins to erode. Bondi's response was firm but limited. She made it clear she does not support special treatment for convicted sex offenders. However, she also stated she was not involved in the decision to transfer Maxwell, placing responsibility instead on the Bureau of Prisons. That answer, while procedural, left a critical gap because it didn't fully address the central concern: who exactly approved the move and why? This moment highlights something deeper about how federal systems operate. The Bureau of Prisons functions with a degree of autonomy, meaning decisions about inmate placement are often handled internally. But when those decisions involve individuals tied to major national scandals, the expectation for transparency increases dramatically. And that's where the tension in the hearing truly escalated. Lawmakers weren't just asking about logistics, they were speaking on behalf of victims. Survivors of Epstein's network, many of whom are still seeking closure, see any perceived leniency toward Maxwell as a setback in their pursuit of justice. For them, this is not political, it is personal. Another layer to this story involves the idea of influence. During the exchange, it was revealed that Maxwell had previously refused to cooperate with a congressional committee unless she received clemency. That detail raises serious ethical and legal questions. Can a convicted individual leverage cooperation in exchange for freedom? And if so, what precedent does that set? Bondi declined to speculate on whether a pardon or sentence reduction could ever happen, but the mere mention of it underscores how complex and politically sensitive this case remains. It also reminds us that the justice system doesn't operate in a vacuum. It intersects with politics, public opinion, and institutional accountability. Interestingly, the hearing briefly shifted focus when Bondi attempted to redirect attention to another violent crime case. While that moment sparked interruption, it reveals a broader truth about modern justice debates. Multiple serious issues often compete for attention, but that doesn't diminish the importance of any single one. So, what should viewers take away from all of this? First, accountability in government doesn't just mean answering questions, it means providing clarity that builds public trust. Second, the treatment of high-profile inmates can shape how society views fairness in the legal system. And third, victims' voices remain central. Their perception of justice matters just as much as the legal outcomes themselves. If there's one thing this hearing made clear, it's that unanswered questions tend to grow louder over time. Who approved the transfer, what criteria were used, and whether policies were followed properly are all questions that may continue to surface. As this story develops, it will likely draw even more scrutiny, not just from lawmakers, but from the public demanding transparency. Because in cases like this, justice isn't just about punishment, it's about trust. If you want more deep breakdowns like this, make sure you stay connected, follow for updates, and share your thoughts. Do you believe the system handled this fairly, or does this raise bigger concerns?